break that Jimbo Fisher, his reputation was built as the quarterback king. Jamarcus Russell was the first pick in the draft, and he was a bust, but that was not Jimbo Fisher's fault. Matt Flynn made millions of dollars in the NFL and won at LSU. Matt Mock won at LSU. In fact, Jamarcus Russell is the one who didn't win a title as a starting quarterback. He won a title with Matt Mock as the starting quarterback at LSU. Christian Ponder, first-round pick. E.J. Manuel, first-round pick. Jameis Winston, first overall pick. And of those guys, Jameis Winston is still in the league, and he still plays for the Saints, but he's not panned out to be number one overall pick worthy, certainly. But these are, since Jameis Winston, these are the quarterbacks, and this is from ESPN.com's David Hale, that he has recruited or brought in as transfers. J.J. Constantino, no starts, retired early. Everett Golson transferred in from Notre Dame, 8 starts, vanished, didn't play in the bowl game that they lost against Houston, very famously. DeAndre Francois, they started out really well, really looked like he was the next dude at Florida State. Tore his ACL, every ligament in his knee in the game against Alabama, then subsequently had some problems, was dismissed from the squad. I believe he was dismissed when Willie Taggart had already taken over, but I'm not completely sure of the timeline there. DeAndre Johnson got kicked off the team in his freshman year for getting in an altercation at a bar, and I believe he hit a girl, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that'll get you kicked off for sure.
Yep. Let's go to the next slide here, Garrett. Malik Henry, tons of problems, dismissed from the team.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, very high recruit, dismissed from the team. Bailey Hockman, no starts, transferred twice. He went to North Carolina State and somewhere else. I can't remember. James Blackman, 25 starts and transferred and was not good. Was not good. Played most of his starts for Willie Taggart, but 25 starts at FSU and was not good there. Maybe not completely the fault of his own, but just not a guy. He's actually in camp with the Dolphins right now, but not someone that was a Power 5 starting quarterback. James Foster, A&M, no starts and transfers. Zach Calzada, 10 starts and Jimbo Fisher's biggest win against Alabama a couple years ago, but he's transferred now twice to Auburn, and I don't know where he is now.
Didn't he go to that small, Craig, I think you were talking, was it Incarnate Word? Or?
I think he may have, yeah. I'm trying to,
I believe it was one of those small schools in Texas.
Yeah. Figure out real quick on where he landed. But, I forget that that was even a thing a little while ago. Incarnate Word, you're right.
Thank you, Garrett.
Absolutely right.
All right, next slide, please.
Wow, that's a fault.
Dude, that's insane.
Eric Morris did a good job there. G.J. Kinney did a good job there. They've all taken promotions. G.J.'s at Texas State now, and then you got Morris at North Texas. So they've both taken that one level up. But that's a pretty big fall from A&M and Auburn to Incarnate Word.
Haynes King, a very highly touted quarterback, very highly touted, is now at Georgia Tech after 7 starts and a lot of injuries that he had at A&M.
Yeah, and he was a really good quarterback at Longview. The pedigree is unmatched as far as Texas high school football goes. But man, they did pour on so much hype and praise on him that I think that really kind of doomed him from the start. And the fact that he had to play so early on, I don't think that's what he was built for. I think that he was a guy that had you let him cook a little bit or marinate, I should say, and then let him cook down the line. I think he would have been probably much better than what you saw. But the fact that he didn't even get marinated, they just threw him right in the oven and said, go. I think that kind of screwed him from the very get-go. But
yeah,
there's just too much hype surrounding him, man. And I think part of it was trying to just outdo your rivals and know we got the best quarterback and and all that, and just it put a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
Zach Daniel, no starts. Eli Stowers, no starts and transferred. Zach Daniel on the roster now, I believe, no starts. Max Johnson transferred in from LSU, 2 starts, and he's still there. His brother is a tight end on the roster, and that's why I think Max is staying. Their father is NFL Super Bowl champion quarterback and former Florida Stater Brad Johnson, and then Connor Wigman, who's there as the chosen one sent to save Aggie Nation. And this is, he looked good. He 8 touchdowns, no picks in the 4 starts that he had last year. Did beat LSU, so. there were some positives for the Aggie offense going in, but that is a bad streak for Jimbo Fisher.
Well, and I think you look at like who the guys were that he did put in the pros as well, and then what they ended up doing. That also diminishes his star a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, when you're talking about your E.J. Manuels and your who else are we throwing in there?
Ponder,
Christian Ponder, and I know there's been others, but yeah, guys who were high picks that didn't necessarily pan out and have the careers that you might have thought otherwise. So there's definitely if you want to go there as an opposing school and say like, yeah, we know he's got the reputation as the quarterback whisperer and all this, but if you really look at it like, hey, here's our guys, and if you put a couple guys in the pros and they've succeeded, like you have as much of a resume as far as currently that as he does, quite frankly. So yeah, I mean, I think that's got to be another just layer of all the other concerns that are gathering or have reared their heads, and by no means are we saying he's on a hot seat or it's all falling down or anything like that, but any year with him at A&M is going, you could say it's going to be an interesting year. But I do think now where we are in the journey with those two, you do feel like whether it's from the College Station side of things or just entirely manufactured nationally, you do feel that sort of sense of pressure building up. And, the quarterback spot has been, a position you can look at and go like, man, if there's a little bit better here, this is different and that's different. And maybe the conversation's entirely different. But that has been a bit of a bugaboo for them. And that's not one you're necessarily expecting because of, what you were kind of laying out earlier as far as his reputation goes.
Yeah. And Kellen Mond is not on that list because he didn't sign Kellen Mond. Right. And he did well. Kellen Mond did well.
Yeah, he had a good career.
Good career for Jimbo Fisher. But, Kevin Sumlin signed Kellen Mond. So he doesn't
flipped him from Baylor.
Yeah. So that's why he didn't get credit for that recruitment, although that was what he inherited and it was better. But that is, it is surprising to me because if you had told me, what will Jimbo Fisher definitely do well at A&M? And I thought, well, he's going to get, one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, every year in the country. I mean, they're going to have that guy who's going to be pretty good because, and part of it was until I guess really Jameis, he was coaching an offense that they ran in the NFL almost exclusively. Now that's not necessarily the case. That's why Lincoln Riley's kind of the dude now because Lincoln Riley's coaching an offense and coaching quarterbacks the way that the NFL is looking for quarterbacks, although Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray are maybe weighing him down a little bit.
I don't know. You're right as far as like just being bona fide stars, although I would say with Kyler's still a star. He's still very much a star. I think he's got to be careful with sort of where he is at the moment and figure out like what direction he wants to go for the remainder of his career. But I still think there's star power, even though you're starting to see some of the holes in the armor. And yeah, Baker's been very up and down. I mean, no doubt. But I mean, think about the fact that Lincoln Riley got him to being a number 1 overall pick in the Baker Mayfield from Texas Tech, walk on from Lake Travis, number 1 overall NFL draft pick. That's what Lincoln Riley turned him into. Jalen Hurts. You got to count him as well. In the final year that he had at Oklahoma, he had a massive year at OU that I think kind of gets overlooked, honestly, looking back on it because of just how good Baker and Kyler were. That unfortunately, I think Jalen got hit with the system quarterback label when he was at Oklahoma. I really do. And I think that cost him some awards. I think that cost him probably more attention that should have been paid to the year that he had. And I know there was attention paid to it, but I do think that part of it kind of does get glossed over because, well, the 2 guys prior to that did that too, so it must be the offense. It's plug and play, right? But, Riley's got like bona fide stars coming up the pipeline because even if their stars are fading, like Baker's has, just with time or bouncing around, or like Kyler's has because of attitude or lack of success or whatever, you still got Caleb Williams coming down the pipeline, and you got Malachi Nelson right behind that, and God knows how many others that'll be all suiting up for him at USC as well at some point. So I do think, to your point, that, he's definitely taken that title from Jimbo Fisher. If there's a quarterback whisperer in college football right now, it is absolutely Lincoln Riley, and the NFL is proof positive of that because there's no like, oh, well, that style doesn't. No, that's the style that everybody's trying to glom onto, not just, and I know it's not exact. Like, high-flying offenses aren't all the same. What he does is not exactly what, guys do across the country at Tennessee or wherever else. Arkansas with Kendall Braz, that's not all the same thing. But as far as just high-flying and putting up points, I mean, nobody's more proven right now with bona fide stars at that position as Lincoln Riley is. So I'm very interested to see where he takes that over time. Like, what are we looking back on in 10 years with him in L.A.? And, like, who all has he predicted? Like, is it 5 number 1 overall draft picks? He's about to have 3. He's about to have his 3rd coming up here next year, unless just there's somebody that we're not thinking of that's, like, a desperate need, like a defensive lineman or, somebody like that. But I think all indications are Caleb Williams will be the number 1 overall pick. So that'll be 3 that he's – Kyler Baker and Caleb, yeah.